Hi, everybody. I'm excited to do this. I haven't done this before. So we've got our cards. So hopefully we'll be able to have some of you all join us. And I know I'm like a pinch early. I'm actually in my Mary Kay office, not in my reading room. But this is really where you see me the most, which is why I came here. So I have, give you a little tour. So I have my little Mary Kay office. And so this is, well, I hope I didn't just make you seasick. So just a little tour of my Mary Kay world, where I wear one hat, but this is where my desk is and my computer is, and my husband works in here often, and with my boys home from college, when was on spring break and just isn't going back because of the virus, and the other was back at school already. So my older one was on the break when they went to online classes. So he's actually over in another part of the house doing online classes right now. And his school has not yet said if they're going to be online for the remainder of the semester. It's tough because he's a senior, so we may or may not get a graduation. But as long as he gets his diploma. And the younger one had gone back to school, had classes for a week, and then they said, nope, we're all going to go online for the rest of the semester, and if you want to leave, you should go now because they're going to lock down the campus. And so he loaded up all his stuff and he came home last night. So, but he, even though they were already back at classes, he doesn't have classes this whole week while the professors are figuring out how to move their classes online. So, while we're saying a prayer for all of the health workers, and we are saying many, many, many prayers for our health workers and our healthcare professionals and the nurses and the doctors who are really the front lines of all of this. Also say a prayer for the teachers and the professors and the college administrators who are suddenly, very suddenly, having to figure out how to teach a class online that was not designed to be that way. My older son takes a film class, and he, we've been reading emails from the professor as the professor is trying to figure out how to move a class online that was never really meant to be that way. So if you're here, if you're watching, we're going to do, I am going to do cards of the week, but I wanted to spend some time with some live Q&A. So if you have some, if you're here, say hi. If you've got a question, hey, Erin. If you've got a question, type it in the comments. And let's see if we can get your questions answered. I haven't done this before with you guys, and I'm just so excited to open it up and say, if you're here watching, say hi. And let's and if you've got a question, just type it in the comments, and let's see if we can get your questions answered. And in the meanwhile, I'm going to share the cards of the week. So you may hear me shuffling in the back with our Work Your Light. I got to tell you, I'm still so incredibly in love with these cards. I love the energy. Rebecca Campbell, just beautiful energy. Work Your Light. But if you have a question, go ahead and type it in, and I will be so glad to answer. And then, we'll see if this works. So in the meanwhile, the first card today is, I'm going to have to check the book on this one, which is always so cool. I try and do that before I come on for you guys. This is Anna, grandmother of Jesus. And me being raised in a Jewish world or in a Jewish community, I don't have a ton of familiarity with Jesus's grandmother. So this is awesome. I'm going to learn something new. So I am going to check the book. It's always such a good resource when you have any kind of card group that you are, page 88, that you are working with. Read the book. You guys read the book, because the creators of these decks, they create these books that have so much more information. So on the card, this beautiful, beautiful card, and the woman in the picture, I don't know if you can see it, the woman in the picture, she actually looks like a friend of mine who was a really wonderful American ballerina. And it says, Anna, grandmother of Jesus, seeding the light, laying foundations, and divine plan. Now, in this current situation where we find ourselves with everything closed, and here in Orlando, I mean, like, that's closed. Like, it's so eerie to see Universal closed and Disney closed, and they're going to close now. Disney's going to close not just the theme parks, but like the downtown Disney and all the Disney hotels. And I mean, that's just an unbelievable amount of people that are going to be sitting home, you know, rightfully so, but it's an unbelievable amount of people really in this community to be dormant. So I in all the years that we've lived here, because it never gets dark here, because the theme parks where I live, we have Disney to the south of us and Universal just to the north east of us, and so they have their lights on all night long. Hey, Maria. They have their lights on all night long because their third shift, their night crews, are working in the night to, you know, fix things, change light bulbs, you know, clean up whatever it is that they're doing in the night. So it never gets dark here. And the only time I'd ever seen it dark was after Hurricane Charlie, when the power was out for the entire area. And it was literally like, it was pitch black, like you could not see a thing. I was actually driving home from the airport. I had been out of town, and I for the hurricane, and came into the airport, and driving to my house that from the airport, it's like 7 miles, was just a harrowing experience because you couldn't see where the intersections were. You literally couldn't see where the street intersections were. It was really unbelievable. So, okay, so we have on our first card, Anna, Grandmother of Jesus. And again, if you have questions, this is our live question and answer. Come in and join me. If you have questions, type them in, and I will be so excited to try and answer them. You can pretty much ask anything. People who know me, like personally, know you can pretty much ask me anything. So let's see, Anna, Grandmother of Jesus, seeding the light, laying foundations, divine plan. Already I'm in love with this just because of what's going on with our world right now. Anna, the grandmother of Jesus, was an ancient mystic who dedicated her life to laying the foundations for Christ's consciousness to be woven through all of life. She's not widely known, but without her, Christ's consciousness would not be rising as it is today. Anna represents the quiet dedication that is sometimes required to live a life of service. She represents the generations that came before that devoted their lives to dreaming a new world into being while knowing that they would not see the glorious end result. She represents the dutiful soldier, the unconditional mother, and the mystic who can see the thread that is woven through all of life. Anna teaches us that we all have a part to play in the divine plan. It doesn't have to be on the world stage to be significant. One person's part is not worthier than another. One person's part may be to mother the children, another's may be to gather the women in circle each month. No part is better or worse, more important or less significant. We each have within us a seed of light that we incarnated to share. Anna is gathering us all to remember to surrender to our part of the plan. Ooh, I love that. Absolutely love that, because one of the things that we have been talking about, my hair sticking out in every direction. One of the things that we've been talking about with all of this going on with the current administration and whether you are, pro-Trump or for Trump or against Trump, that's not the point. Where I'm trying to go, but with what we've seen is this fracturing that's been continuing to happen in our communities, where we have, the right has gone very much more to the right and the left has gone more to the left. And we're seeing this continued rise of anti-Semitism and rise of racism and anger and frustration, and people really, coming in and with much more anger in our societies. And it's just, it's frustrating, and it's sad, and it's heartbreaking. But there are so many of us that really believe that as the light and the dark were separating apart, that it was going to take a while for the continued fracturing, where it was come to this breaking point where people would really have to come together to realize we are all one humanity, we are all one people, we are all in this, on this planet together, and that then the light and the dark would be able to come back together in peace. Is coronavirus, the thing that's going to make or break, and that can bring us back together into one human race instead of divided nations and divided races and divided religions? I don't know yet, but I really do feel like it's part of it. I really do feel like that it is part of it, and we've been seeing over the last maybe 2 years, we've been seeing this sort of mass exodus of people leaving the planet, probably going into 3 years, really. That was part of the last decade, as we were kind of coming into the last few years of the last decade, that we were seeing this mass exodus. We've seen a rise in these mass shootings. We've seen, the things in Las Vegas and here in Orlando at the Pulse shooting, and the different shootings that claimed so many lives. And we're seeing also people that have chosen to leave the planet and leave their life, human bodies, really what we would look at as too early. People that we thought would be with us for a lot longer are choosing to leave. And I think that a lot of that comes from that same place where we are having the rising of the light, and people who are looking at the situation saying, I can do more good from up here than I can from down here. And so we are seeing these people leaving the planet. And I think that coronavirus is part of that. And I think that it's a huge part of the shifting of the energy as the continued ground vibration of the planet continues to rise and rise and rise. For those of you who follow the Schumann resonance, which is literally the vibration, the resonance of the planet, it has continued to rise over the last several years, making those of us who are sensitive to those kinds of energies and the energies of others, the energy of what's going on around us, feel very, very unsettled. But we understand why. And then the people who are more connected to who are not connected to these kind of energies, they are feeling that unsettled as well, but they don't know why. And so they grip on tighter to the status quo, and they grip onto what they know to be true and what they've always known, and they hold on tighter, and they want to muscle forward. And the people who are more sensitive to the energies and understand that this is all working together, cogs in a bigger picture, they're understanding that we have to, yes, we have to protect ourselves, and yes, we need to find a cure for this disease, and yes, we need to wash our hands and use hand sanitizer and all the things that we can do to keep ourselves safe. But at the same time, there is a higher purpose that is going to help to heal and cleanse the planet. And that doesn't make it easy. That does not make it easy, but it does make it hopeful. There was something else they just gave me to say, and it went bink right out my head. It'll come back. They'll give it back to me again. But I think it is one of the reasons that this is happening is to give us pause, to give us time to stop as a society, to really evaluate our capitalism and our materialism, and to really connect with family and friends. This is the time to reach out to family and friends. Are you okay? Is there anything you need? Can I do anything for you? I have my very dear friend in Milwaukee who is quarantined because her son goes to school in Rome, and the school sent him home. And so he is fine. He's all, thanks, Eli. So good to see you. So he is quarantined for 14 days because he was in Italy, living in Italy. And since he lives in her house, that's where he is when he's in the States. And so she has quarantined so that she is not taking any risk to contaminate anyone at her job. And so she's working from home and literally cannot leave her house. And they've had to move her mother, who's in her 80s, to another house for her own safety. But she was talking to me about, even though she knew he was coming and she could prepare with food in the house, that it was really difficult to get food delivered, and that Amazon apparently has like a food delivery service in some of the local grocery stores. But she said that there were days where it's difficult to get food delivered because they didn't have the thing in stock that she needed, or they just didn't have a delivery window because they've been so jammed up with everybody else trying to use the service. And so this is the time to really take a breath and slow down and look at the people around you. I have lived in so many places and always made it a point to know my neighbors because my husband traveled so much, and I was always, a mom home alone. And so I wanted to make sure I knew my neighbors. Do you know your neighbors? This is a great time to go and meet them and just knock on the door and say, hey, I'm here. Do you need anything? Is there anything that we can do for you? You don't have to shake their hands. You can do the elbow thing. Everyone's doing the elbow thing, which is great. It's great. You can, I like the guys who are like, tapping their feet and, giving a little light shin kisses, But, this is the time to really reach out to the people around you and really look around at what is in your home. What is important? Is it the people or is it the stuff? And so I think this is a really great, I talk a lot in my in the work that I do, I talk a lot with people that when we don't listen to the gentle nudges of the universe comes and says, hey, I have this for you. Hey, I want to tell you something. Hey, I want to show you something. Hey, I want to share this with you. And when we don't listen, the taps get harder. The taps get bigger. Hi, Dana. The taps get more. And when you don't listen, then you get the cosmic bitch slap. And I really feel like that's where we are as a society right now, is this coronavirus is absolutely the cosmic bitch slap, because our humans have not been listening to the pleas of the planet. We have not been listening to the pleas of the weakest among us. We have not been coming together as a global society. We have not been willing to look after each other. We have really all had this, what's in it for me mentality, and it has been really fostered by many leaders of many places, and really have gotten into this, back into like almost that 80s me greed thing. And this, I really feel like this is the cosmic bitch slap. So this is, but there's always light, and this too shall pass. Jessica's here. Oh my goodness, how exciting. You guys never get to come on my cast, spend some time. So I'm so happy to have you here. Again, we're live, so if you have questions, just go ahead and type them in, and I'm here to answer as many questions as I can. Please don't hesitate. But I really feel like, just my take on the whole coronavirus thing. Please do what you can to protect yourselves. Please stay safe and do all the things, wash your hands, hand sanitizer, don't touch your face, all those things. But at the same time, that we're praying for our healthcare providers, and we're praying for the people to stay safe, and we're praying for, a cure to be found, a vaccine to be found very quickly. Please also pray for the school teachers and the college professors and the teachers who are trying to figure out how to teach online when their classes weren't designed that way, and when they've never had that experience before, and they have to learn all this new technology. Oh, that was what it was. My father asked me, because my older son is going to graduate college in May, probably in my living room. But my father asked me, he says, I feel so bad for these kids because they're going to graduate and come out into this world, and it's not like what they're expecting, and it's not going to be, how are they going to adapt? And I said, no. These kids are so adaptable. Like, they are on it. They grew up in a whole society that changed and adapted every minute. It's us that really have the trouble to adapt. These kids are going to figure it out. They're going to, think a new thought. They're going to go out of the box. There are no boxes for those kids. And it's really an amazing thing to understand that our kids really are going to change the way we think about things, the way we do things. And something like this, like the coronavirus, like a global pandemic, is designed to do just that, to really shift us and change how we think about things. So allow that to come into your awareness. If you're sitting at home and you're quarantined, it's really easy to get into the anger and the frustration, and to tee off the stress and the anxiety of the people that are out in the grocery stores and all of that. And we don't have to be that. We can take that time and say, okay, what can I learn from all of this? Love my neighbor, welcome in the light. How much material stuff do I really need? And at the same time that we're praying for people to stay healthy and be well, one of the things that I know as a light worker is that I can send love and light and healing energy to everyone. And anyone who needs it, and I do at will, I ask it to be sent on their behalf, and I will do that for you at the drop of a hat. But it is also our responsibility to allow ourselves to reach up to the light and welcome that healing in. And so we find a lot of times, we can pray for people who are wanting, we don't want them to leave us. We're not ready for them to go. We pray for them to get healed and healthy and stay with us, please. But they have to be willing to reach up to the light and welcome that into their own selves, to allow that healing in. And so as you're going and as you're sending love and light and prayers out for all these people, remember to reach up and grab a little light and grab a little healing energy for your own self, for your own sanity. Staying connected in an age of social distancing. Staying connected is so important, and this is a great time to connect with our family, connect with our neighbors, connect with people. If you have someone whose name pops in your mind, reach out to them. We think about people like, I was just thinking about you. Reach out to them. Send them a quick text. Send them a quick Hello. My beautiful, beautiful friend Joanne Fink, who I absolutely adore, has an Etsy line of emojis and little text, little graphics that you can send people, thinking of you, bored out of my gourd, don't let the virus get you down, that kind of stuff. And so if you're looking for cute little gifts that you can send to your friends and family, check out Joanne Fink's Etsy shop. She sent me some this morning to look at, and they're just darling. And just really, it is about staying connected in this time of disconnection. Social distancing doesn't mean disconnection. That's not what we're about. And as a community of light, it's so important for us to stay together and stay connected. And so I'm going to bring this back to our Anna, grandmother of Jesus, seeding the light, laying the foundation, and remembering that there is a divine plan. But seeding the light and laying the foundation is all about connection. That's all about coming together and being connected in the light. So let's go ahead and pick our next card, which is, let's see. Priestess, how are you being called to step up and lead? So this always cracks me up because I love this card. It's such a beautiful card. I love that Elias is on with us today. So honored to have you with us. Thank you for sharing your comments. I love this card, you guys. Priestess, how are you being called to step up and lead? Because, and you know, as a light worker and as someone who leads women's circles and who leads women in the Mary Kay world and all of these things, and my friend Jessica is on today. And Jessica and I used to lead a teen group back in the day with for the Jewish Youth Group. So, you know, we all have the ability to lead. We all, read my lips, we all have the ability to lead. Even if you're leading just yourself or you're leading one person. I currently am leading, there's Toby. You see him? That's my dog. Toby. There's Toby. That's my dog. He lives in my drawer. He doesn't live there all the time, but you know, when I'm at work in my office, he lives in my drawer. And so currently I'm leading Toby. But we all have the ability to lead, okay? Whether it's you, whether it's your family, whether it's a neighbor, whether you're leading 500 people on Facebook. Oh my goodness, thank you for joining our family. Whether you're leading, you know, 20 people or 10 people at a women's circle or a men's circle or a PTA or whatever it is that you're leading, we all have that ability to step up and to lead something. And it doesn't have to be a global stage. It doesn't have to be a huge platform to lead. People always talk about they want to expand their platform. Okay, but your platform maybe is only just your neighborhood. But where can you connect and make a difference in this time of people in panic? Okay, where can you be the voice of calm and the voice of leadership and the voice of love in all of this? Because again, social distancing does not have to mean disconnection, okay? We can still stay connected. We must stay connected. And to be honest, this whole coronavirus thing should be about connecting more, coming together more. So in the Priestess, where are you being called to step up and lead? And then for our last card, don't dim to fit in. I love this card. I love this card. Look how gorgeous this is. She's like, no, don't blind my light. I'm still shining too bright. And I absolutely love this. It says, how are you dimming your light in order to fit in? So again, this goes right along, you guys, with the Priestess of being called to lead. So, and she's very beautiful also, isn't she? But so this goes right along with, wrong card, with being called to lead. So if you are living your life small, and I don't mean that you have to make this global impact and be out on the street corner yelling and screaming, but it is about making an impact and making a mark. And whether that, you know, mark, people talk to me about, oh, you're going to be a, you know, famous psychic, whatever. And I'm like, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be, you know, travel all over the world. And I listen to some of the mentors that I work with, and they talk about how they travel, you know, 20 weeks a year and they go all over the world. I'm like, I don't want that life. I want the ripples on the water that I make. I want them to be here. I want to be impactful for my community. I want to be impactful for my family. I want to be impactful. I say all the time when the Google people call me and they say, well, you know, for a price, we'll up your listing and, you know, you'll get, you know, higher hits and all of that on your website for bookings. And I think the people who are supposed to find me. And so I'm not looking for world domination in psychic mediumship. I'm looking to make my mark closer to home. But it really is about Don't dim your light to fit in. Don't change who you are in order to make a difference for someone else. Be who you are, and you will make the most difference for more people by being true to your genuine self, okay? And so even in this time of crisis, especially in this time of crisis, I feel like it is even more important for us to be true to who we are, be our most authentic selves. And so if that means that the stress of the situation is getting a little too much for you and you need to like go into the bathroom or the bedroom and grab a pillow and just and scream into the pillow, then do it, because self-care is absolutely essential in times of high stress. Self-care is absolutely essential in times of high stress. Self-care is essential every day, in every time. But it's not just about living your with hand sanitizer and washing your hands and not touching your face. It is about so much more. If you need to take a bath in salt and put some iodized salt in there to help cleanse and release all of these things. This is a piece of spirit quartz that I absolutely just adore, and every time I hold it in my hand I feel better. Kristen, hi sweetheart. So happy to have you join us. So whatever it is that you need to do, take a walk. Okay, the world may be under quarantine, but you can still take a walk. You may not be able to go to the state park or to, a public park or something like that, but you can walk around your neighborhood. Take a walk, take a step out, touch a tree. You've all heard me talk about touching the trees, where you put your receiving hand, which is your non-dominant hand, you put it on the tree. I always try to look for like a knot in the tree, or a place where maybe there had been a limb once before that there isn't, with a place where the energy is coming out of the tree. And I put my hand on the tree and I thank the tree for being part of the oxygen system of the earth and cleansing the air, and the roots cleansing the earth and keeping us safe and protected, and being part of our ecosystem and bringing peace and light and love to the universe, because really that is what trees are all about. And I thank the trees, and just being connected to them in that nature makes such a huge difference, and it's just so cleansing and healing. And then the other part is remembering, and I posted this article about this Russian scientist Paponin, and it was just a blurb. I have not read the Greg Braden book that this comes from, and that's not where I heard it originally, but this was the article that I was so happy to find about this Russian scientist Paponin and his work with DNA. I want to talk about this since nobody seems to have any questions. I'm going to want to talk about this because I think this is so important to understand, and for me it was literally life-changing. When I heard this originally, it was with an interview with John Assaraf, and maybe you're familiar with him. He was, I think, one of the guys in The Secret or something, but he does a lot of self-development stuff as well, John Assaraf. But he was talking in this interview about this Russian scientist Paponin and how he had done this research with DNA. So I wanted to produce something of an article where you guys could do a little more digging and learn about it. But your DNA is that double helix, that ladder, that spool. And what they did was they put a DNA strand into a vacuum container, and they realized that there's particles, the particles that make up the universe, the particles of light that make up the universe, that usually move in a manner of chaos. And they put the DNA strand into the test tube, into the container with a vacuum seal. And then all of these pieces of light, these particles of light, aligned to line up along the DNA strand. And they thought, that's really interesting. And then they took the DNA strand out and fully expected that the particles would go back to their chaos, and they didn't. They stayed aligned with the particles where they had been aligned with the DNA. So that tells us right away that our DNA has an effect on the world around us, which means if we are the DNA, then we have an effect on the world around us. So then they took the DNA strand and they put it in another room from its owner, and they showed the owner happy images and sad images, and the DNA strand responded in real time in the exact moment that the owner of the DNA strand was having a reaction. The DNA strand that was hundreds of miles away was having the exact same reactions in real time. There was not a second of lag. It was right on it, which tells us that we are our DNA is impacted by our emotions. Okay, and so if our DNA can impact the universe, and we can impact our emotions, are impacting our DNA, then our emotions are impacting what's going on in the universe. So I bring this back around to our current situation with coronavirus, which means, which is to say that as we are so caught up in the drama and the news and the anger and the frustration and the fear, When we are in fear, our DNA squishes shut like a slinky at rest, okay? When we are in love and joy and gratitude, our DNA unspools and stretches out like that slinky being pulled out, okay? Like when kids are playing with it and pulling it out. If the surface area is greater on the extended DNA strand than it is on the closed tight DNA strand, then it stands to reason that we have more ability to send out our radio signal and change the energy of the particles of light around us when our DNA strand is pulled out, because we're in joy and gratitude. When we're in anger and fear and frustration and lack and all of these things, our DNA closes up tight like this, and the signal that it can send out to the particles of light is like beep, 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 beep. Okay, and the particles of light are going to bind together around something like this. But when we stay in love and joy and gratitude, then the DNA strand is extended and the particles of light line up all over the DNA strand, and the signal we send out to the universe is more like a roar instead of a little beep. Okay, and that is where we have that connection between our emotions of staying in love and gratitude that affects our DNA, that affects the signal that we can send out to the particles of light in the universe to help literally help change what's going on in the universe. So come back around to Corona and self-quarantining and social distancing. Stay in that place of gratitude that we have homes to be in, we have family and friends to connect with, we have food, we hopefully have toilet paper and hand sanitizer, and if you don't have hand sanitizer, I'm here to tell you, you can use some. This is a Mary Kay After Sun Gel. This has got vitamin E and aloe and some other skin soothers with some alcohol and your favorite essential oil, and look, you've got hand sanitizer. Okay, so you can make your own hand sanitizer, and as long as you've got a washcloth or you know, something in your house that you can wipe your hiney with and wash, you'll be fine. Okay, so we don't need to panic about all of these things, about toilet paper and all of that. So it's just really important that we are staying in that place of love and gratitude, and that because when we are in that place of love and gratitude and peace and calm, we are sending out so much more of that love to the universe, and we're really much more powerful, not only to send that love out to the universe and heal what's going on out there, but we're also more powerful to reach up to the light and welcome that healing in for ourselves and really make use of the love and the light that's being sent to us from others. So not only is it so important that the signal we are sending out to manifest our desires and to manifest healing and safety and security for all of those around us, but we are staying open so that we can bring that love and light down to us into our own healing and into our own love and gratitude. And that's really what they're talking about with Anna, Jesus's grandmother, about sowing the seeds and laying the foundation. So this becomes really, really important about putting all these things together. So we are the ones, if you are here and you are watching this, you are someone who is aware of the energy and aware of the light, and you are bringing that and helping bring that to the universe. So we are sowing the seeds, and we are laying the foundation for the new world to come, post-corona, post-social distancing, and into a new rising of the continued rising of the light. So please don't give up hope. Please, I know it's frustrating, but please do your utmost to stay in love and gratitude, because it really does affect how we don't dim our light to fit in, and how we are able to lead others to the light. Whether you're leading one, whether you're leading 100, okay? Leading others to the light. We create those ripples on the pond where you drop in the pebble, and we create those ripples going out into the water. Whether you're creating a little ripple or a big ripple, every ripple is going to bump into another ripple and cavitate out to create more ripples. So whether you're creating a big ripple or a small ripple, you, I promise you, are still making a positive difference in the world as we continue to navigate this crazy time separately but together. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to join me today and being part of our live 30 minutes. We'll do this again. So think of questions that you'd like to ask. We'll do this again. Thank you so much for joining me. It was such a pleasure to see so many of your names pop up and comments. And thank you so much for being part of this. I'm so excited to continue doing this. And hopefully we can, if this seems like a good time, hopefully we can continue to do this on Mondays at 4 and share some time together. Have a great week, you guys. Remember, this does not have to be miserable. Read a book, watch a movie, enjoy family time, take a walk, and just stay safe. And know that we love you so much. And we are here if you need to talk, if the stress is getting difficult and you need to talk, please know that we are here to help you. And however, I am here to help you however I possibly can. Have a wonderful day. I will pop in again for the week. It won't be a whole week, I promise. I'll be back. But if you need me, please message. But just do what you can, self-care, and stay safe and stay healthy.